Hey, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our NIE Postgraduate and CEE Fair. So, my name is Dr. Lee Yew Jin. So, I'm a member of the Natural Sciences and Science Education Department in NIE. I'll be sharing with you a little bit more about the educational doctorate um, and I'll be speaking from my experience in the science department for science education. It's difficult for me to know would the respondents be able to ask questions, or how would they do that? Do they have to type in, or do they have to
Mm,
unmute themselves? What's the
They can
system?
do both. They can unmute themselves and also put their questions in the
Okay,
chat.
okay. So maybe I'll just talk first. Okay, maybe I hope that everyone here, you have read a little bit more about the educational doctorate or the EdD. So the educational doctorate is something like the PhD, is equal in rigor, but the focus is quite different. For a PhD, um, the focus is on research, but for the EdD, the educational doctorate, is just as rigorous, just as demanding, and almost equivalent in time, but the EdD has a professional focus. So the EdD is suitable for people who are in industry, in teaching, in any form of training, human resources, these kinds of professions. As long as there's education, there's training, the EdD might be suitable for you. Of course, this extends to leadership roles, curriculum planning roles, policy and management roles. These are definitely something that you want to is suitable for people in these professions as well. The PhD, on the other hand, I would say is more suitable for people who think that they want to devote their time for to gain skills in research. So, as I mentioned, the PhD and the EDD, they are equivalent in rigor, difficulty, and time duration. But the PhD, the focus is on finding, making new discoveries, finding out something new, testing theory, making a new product, digging deeper into the natural world as well as the human and social world to make new discoveries, theories, so on and so forth. As I mentioned, the EDD has a very professional focus. It will try to answer questions. How can things be changed in my workplace? How can I understand my work environment better? How can I enhance the teaching and learning, the training activities in my workplace better? How can myself be a better educator? The EDD, at least in my experience, we have accepted people from very, very different professions. Of course, they are teachers, but also people from the private sector, people in nursing, and even medical doctors as well. So you might ask, oh, how does nursing and being a clinician actually, what will the EDD benefit them? Actually, it does, because for a clinician, a physician, he or she might be in a position of in charge of continuing professional development, and he or she might want to improve the educational programs within her hospital, within her clinic. We have also had nurses who joined us, and these were actually nurse managers whose job was to be in charge of training. training for their wards, their departments. And of course, speaking about the EdD in general, we had people from all over, very, very different professions. We even had a person who was a priest who came for the EdD. So you ask how come a Catholic priest came? Well, he was also involved in education and training. So the skills that he learned, the skills that you will learn in the EdD is general enough to apply in your workplace. But because there is a thesis component, you will take a deeper dive. You will dig deeper into to scratch beyond the surface into the teaching and learning programs in your workplace. So yes, indeed, you will have 8 courses, 8 coursework, but there's also a thesis component which allows you to pick a program, pick something within your workplace that you think that you want to find out more, that you think that um, given the experience, given the coursework, can you actually try to improve something or solve an existing problem within your workplace? So the EDD is quite unique in the sense that it's very context bound. It's context bound to your work situation. So if you're in a certain sector, it might be addressing some issue within your work sector. For example, nursing, healthcare, for example. For the PhD, they are not so, their kind of research is more general. It would apply to many different situations. For example, if you're a scientist, you will find something which, of course, let's say a chemical reaction, and of course, the reaction is not bound whether you do it in Singapore or do it whether in any country in the world. The chemical reaction will still behave the same way as long as the conditions are the same. The EDD, on the other hand, is very sensitive to context. It can be as sensitive to your own workplace, your own organization, or your own work sector. So comparing, let's say, a business trainer, for example, business product development manager. So, she might just want to think about how can I be a better people developer in my organization. And honestly, after her time in the EDD, what she discovers will be relevant for her particular work organization. The next building, the next company, it's a totally different organization altogether, of course. And what she finds might not be applicable, even though it's just next door. So the EDD allows you to fine tune, to narrow down, to address an issue in a very, very specific manner. So these are some of the considerations that people who wish to take an EDD, these are some of the benefits. So you need to be quite sure what's the difference between the EDD and a PhD. Like I said, they are equal in rigor, equal in demand. I would, the only thing that for the EDD, there's a slightly more in terms of coursework. Okay. So, but other than that, in terms of its demand, we can take them to be equivalent. Because upon graduation, yeah, I mean, you're still given, it's still called a doctorate, whether it's for the PhD or the EDD. Both of them, as you know, whether you're full-time or part-time, PhD or EDD, the maximum is 5 years. So it might seem very long to you, but for the EDD, around 2.5 years will be devoted to your coursework, leaving about 2.5 years thereabouts for your thesis. Having said that, it might seem very compressed, but this is an advantage of the EDD in the sense that if you are quite certain of something that you want to dig further, it might not be a very accurate or accurate plan when you start, but it's a half-formed idea. And with this half-formed idea, for example, let's say if I was a business manager in my company and I wanted to um, if I'm in charge of training and development for my staff in HR, for example. So my as I'm working through all the courses, you can customize the flavor of the courses, the assignments that you do, the discussions that you undertake, the literature review that you do will be um, situated within, for example, HR development or within your work sector. What will happen, therefore, after you take all of these 6 courses, each of them can be fitted together for your final dissertation, meaning that all the coursework can accumulate towards your final dissertation. They are not taken in silos, but they will build upon each other. Of course, along the months, as you listen to the lectures, as you do assignments, as you think deeper, and as you reflect with your classmates, your focus might change. And that's to be expected because you are gaining a deeper understanding of the situation as well as yourself, as well as the theories that you are being exposed to. But all of these coursework can be put together and form part of your dissertation. So this is, I think, one of the strong points of the EDD in the sense that we see the coursework as cumulative. This is a big advantage. However, I also need to tell you that um, if you want to do the EDD, you should have at least about 4 years of work experience in your organization or in your work sector. One of the uh, issues that some people have is that sometimes they might change the job, and therefore the work sector change, and definitely your organization change. This sometimes might result in a situation where what you originally planned to research is no longer applicable by the simple fact that you have changed your job, and you might even have changed your work sector. So these are some of the issues that people doing the EDD might face. For a person in a PhD, because your research problem is more or less quite stable, these kinds of issues do not affect you as much. But the EDD has an advantage as well as a potential disadvantage, as I just described. So these are some of the issues that I thought that I wanted to share with you at this moment. Um, so 6 courses, 3 of them are core, and the 3 core ones, they're all on the website, will be the literature review, the quantitative methods course, and the qualitative methods course. This one, everybody in the EDD, in the whole of NIE, will take. Because, and then I should say, there are specializations. And nearly every department in NIE offers specializations. For the specializations, you will take 2. So if you're interested in science education, we have at least about 8 courses. Um, and when the courses are run, you can choose to take 2 of them. Not every term a course will be offered, but when you're offered, you just take 2 within your specialization. So I mentioned 3 core, 2 specializations, and finally there is 1 course on reading and writing, academic reading and writing. Or in lieu of that, if your supervisor feels that you're strong enough, you can do another open elective. You can choose another course from somewhere else. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 gives you a total of 6 courses. And then after that will be your dissertation. The dissertation um, will take about the total is 60,000 words. And yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, so as you are even before you okay, when you apply for the EDD, you should have some half-formed sense of what area in which you want to research upon. So your proposal will contain um, your research questions, the tentative research methods, what will you do, who are your participants, of course, the research problem, and based on the soundness of this proposal, the review committee will just see whether it's workable or not. Now, of course, you will have to undergo an interview, and the interviewer will be me. Okay, yeah, but it's not just me. There'll be 2 other people, so there should be 3 of us. Okay. I was talking a lot, but let me just answer one question from one of you. You're free to unmute yourself and ask, and you're also free to just type. So let me just read out this question, and you can read it for yourself. Okay, so they're both rigorous. Okay, PhD unpacking. Okay, actually, universities do recognize PhDs and EDDs. They are equivalent. Some people think that, okay, so let me say this way. The PhD is indeed very research intensive. The EDD is also research focused, but from a professional perspective. Okay, so the EDD pays more attention to professional contexts. So they are both assessed rigorously because we need external reviewers. It's no less, it's just as demanding to put it in that manner. So it is okay. So let me just say more straightforwardly. Uh, EDDs and PhDs are equally recognized. I have, I mean, I know of people who have EDDs and they actually are doing extremely good research. So it does not mean that because you're doing EDD, your skills, your proficiency, your confidence in research is diminished. Answer is no. It says that the EDD training was focused on the professions, but upon graduation, I've seen superb research coming up from people with EDDs. So yeah. The inequality in social status might be a perception, yeah, by people, but from a university's perspective, I don't think there's any differentiation at all. Yeah, yeah. Feel free to anyone. Yeah. Some countries might have a distinction. Yeah. But it's hard for me to know which countries make the distinction. So there's somebody I know. She's from EdD from the University of Southern California. Somebody I met, and she's doing excellent research. So I thought she had a PhD, but no, she had an EdD. And that's impressive. I mean, that's great. Yeah. Okay, thank you.